Hello, it's Johara. Welcome back to my channel, to the Witchy Reader. So I'm going to be, like my heaven, I got it last month. Um, but I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to be doing the Finally Fall book tag. But I know I haven't really been uploading. I think for a couple of months I haven't really uploaded much. Except for maybe a vlog here and there, which I have a couple more vlogs. I have the, my writing vlog, which I'm doing, and then uh, part two to my indie reading vlog. But I've been in a bit of a slump and haven't been really wanting to film either, so I haven't got anything done. But I have been writing a lot, so yay. But I think I'm finally starting to get out of my reading slump, and for the first time in a while, I'm really excited to film. So I'm gonna be doing kind of 3 videos back to back because they're videos I just really need to do and I want to do. And yeah, I might as well do them while I'm feeling hyped about filming and reading and books. Yay! I'm so happy. Um, Anyways, so I have the questions on my phone. I probably should plug in my phone because it's at 12%. And the questions are on my phone, so I kind of need my phone to not die on me. That would suck. Um, okay. So question one, is in fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. So for this, I mean, there's definitely several I could choose, but I chose Harry Potter because um, I am a huge Harry Potter fan. Obviously, if you know anything about me, you know that it's one of my favorite books. And even though I do have issues with some things in the movies are still some of my favorite movies to ever be made. And Harry Potter's tied as my favorite book, to be honest. Um, just because there's another series that I absolutely love, and it's really hard to pick between two of them. Um, and but Hogwarts and the Wizarding World in general is just like a place that so many people, especially Harry Potter fans, just would love to go to. And I'm definitely one of them. Like I would kill to go to the Wizarding World and Hogwarts. Like, and it's so vivid. And every time I read this series, I feel like I'm at Hogwarts. I am on this journey with Harry, Ron, and Hermione trying to defeat Voldemort and save the world, and it is amazing. Question two is nature is beautifully written, but also deals with. Okay, I skipped the line. Nature is beautiful, but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a heavy topic of loss or grief. So I'm going with an indie book I read more on the recent side ish, like a few months, and it quickly became one of my favorite reads of the year and one of my favorite books in general. And I absolutely loved it. I'm so hyped for book two to come out, uh, to read it because she sent me the art copy, so I'm so excited to read it once I can. You know how life can get because life has been kind of hectic, but I don't know. I think like I said, things are gonna be pretty more hectic soon, but for now things are chill. And I chose B by Ellie Lieberman. Um, because it's so beautifully written, and the story, the characters, the relationships, friendships is mostly about friendship and family. Um, which anyone who knows me knows that I eat that up. Like, don't get me wrong, I like a good romance subplot because I do not do just pure romance. I can't. I have nothing against it for people who like it, who read it or write it. I just need more to a story than just whether the ship is gonna get together or not. But what also the reason why Harry Potter and Secrets are my two favorite series, as well as Monster High Girlfriends Forever, is because the friendships and or family relationships are more important than the romantic ships. And that's the one connection all these books that are my favorite favorites. It's because even though there is romance and the romance is great, the friendships and family relationships are more important and more focused on, which I feel is just doesn't happen very often. So whenever I find a book that definitely deals with that, I'm like 100%. It's a new favorite automatically. But anyways, B is like that. There's definitely some family drama here and there and stuff, but the friendship between the two main characters is one of my favorites. Like I absolutely love their dynamic. They're a chaotic and dangerous duo, and I live for it. It's beautifully written, as I said, and it deals with grief a few ways for both the two main characters, Ari and Henry. Um, I'm gonna try not to spoil too much. There is a character that dies, which is one of people who also know me that knows that some of the saddest deaths I've ever read are Fred and Lupin from Harry Potter and Udrek from Seekers. Like those are three deaths I am never gonna get over. And there are two deaths I read more on the recent side from indie books that are up there with the three of them, and this character is one of them. Just throwing that out there. But anyways, Arya and Henry have both had to deal with grief and loss in the past. Um, with both their moms, I believe. So yeah, they both have family issues, or it's mostly Ari like having real family issues with her brothers, but Henry has a little bit with his brother, and but they both have had to deal with grief and loss, um, and not to mention they don't know what happened to Froz. I don't remember if they said if it said that they were married or just together because I know they said they had a baby, but her and the baby like are missing, so there's not knowing if she's alive or dead. So there's that grief for the possibility of being dead, or and if even if she's not, if ever finding them. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of heavy topics like that. Plus, there's also really amazing themes that I really loved and appreciated that I just thought was dealt with amazingly. So definitely check this out. New favorite. Book two comes is called an Impossible Dream, and it comes out November 20th, so very soon. So and you do not have to read these books in order, by the way, because I'm pretty sure book two is a prequel actually. And I think book three might be too, but I think book four goes back to after this book. But I might be wrong. I might be wrong. I talked to the author a lot. She's amazing. So yeah. Anyways, moving on. I ranted way too much more than I meant to. But like I said, I fell in love with that book instantly. Okay, book question three. My mind. It's very late. My mind is jumbled. Follows back to school season. Share a nonfiction book that taught you something new. So the thing is, I don't read nonfiction. Nonfiction does not interest me. I don't care about nonfiction. I read books to escape these fantastical worlds, which is also my laptop is also gonna die if I don't charge it. Which is also part of the reason why I read fantasy. Um, I love everything about it, and so yeah, I don't read nonfiction. The only nonfiction book I actually know for a fact that I read was one I read in elementary school. I got it at the school library, and it was a book that was just a bunch of facts about bears. Because and also anybody who knows me knows that I'm obsessed with bears. I have a whole pile of stuffed animals, and 95 at the very least of it is bears. My room's kind of a mess, so I'm not gonna show you right now. But I've showed them before. Maybe I'll show them again. Once I clean up a bit. But yeah, like 95 at the very least of my stuffed animals are bears, and there's so many of them. Like some are giant, some are very tiny. Like I'm flat out obsessed with bears, and that's also what originally drew me to my favorite series, Seekers. My friend showed it to me because it had a bear on the cover. She was like, "You love bears? Here you go." And then when I read the back, it sounded really intriguing. So I was like, "Okay, I'll check it out." And it became a favorite, obviously. But I'm just obsessed with bears. So I had to read that because I wanted to know everything there was to know about bears. And now I know so many useless facts about bears that I doubt many people actually know unless you care as much about bears as I do. Because there are some things that I just don't hear ever being talked about because they're like there's just when you hear about bears, you hear about polar bears, panda bears, black bears, brown bears. Those are the main bears you hear about. But there's other bears that people don't ever talk about. It's like, do you even know these bears exist? Is the question. I should do a video about bears one day. I don't know how many people would care, but it would make me very happy because I love bears. I don't get to talk about bears very much because I don't know anybody who loves bears as much as I do. It's a tragedy. I'm being very dramatic tonight. Okay, moving on before I go completely insane. Question four is in order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with people we love. Name a fictional family, household, friend group that you love, like to be part of. So now we're getting into my other favorite series, Seekers, because anybody who knows me also knows that this is one of my favorite friend groups to ever exist. Like for real, just everything about them. So the main friend group in this series is Kalik, Udrak, Toklo, and Lusa. And the first book is mostly about them as individual characters, more or less. Udrak and Toklo meet at like the middle of the book, and then the two of them meet Lusa near the end of the first book, but they don't actually meet Kalik until like the mid. No, it's not even the middle. It's closer to the end of the second book. Kalik's my favorite character, and I also feel like her and Toklo went through the most, but I feel like Kalik went through a little bit more than Toklo because the two of them had such tragic lives. I cannot speak. Um, but anyways, I love their friend group. They all have this, and it's like these characters are all just sort of three-dimensional. They have their own personalities, their own um whatever, you know. Um, and yeah, sometimes they fight. Like there's one fight I can think of, um, where it was mostly Kalik and Toklo because they're like the leader types, you know. So they kind of butt heads because Kalik wanted to go on the ice because she's a polar bear and she hadn't been on the ice for a while, but Lusa can't handle the ice and Toklo's more worried about Lusa, so Udrak decided to go with Kalik to visit the ice while Toklo took Lusa to land so that she, you know, doesn't freeze to death. Which I get both their points. Like Kalik had been on land with them for so long, and it wasn't doing great for herself because she's a polar bear and she needs the ice. And I also understand Toklo wanting to protect Lusa because Lusa couldn't handle the ice like the others could. I mean, even Toklo and Udrak, who aren't polar bears, could at least handle the ice. Lusa couldn't. But anyways, Kalik is compassionate, but she is also fierce and she does not let people, you know, walk over her or hurt her. Like she is strong, but she's also kind and soft when she needs to be. She has like that's probably why she's my favorite character. She can do both. Toklo is just on the strong, fierce, hard-headed, stubborn side. He can be mean and cold, but that's because the difference between Toklo and Kalik is even though they both went through so much, Toklo let it affect him and how he became and who he became. I still love Toklo, don't get me wrong. Um, but Kalik didn't, which is why she's my favorite. Then there's Lusa, who is very sweet and soft, and she doesn't have a mean bone in her body. She isn't exactly the strongest in a lot of ways, but she is very kind and compassionate. Then there's Udrak, who's actually my second favorite, and he's a shapeshifter, which is very cool. And he is I guess he's kind of the smartest one, and he's also and I feel like he was a lot more like Lusa at the beginning, you know, sweet and kind. But I feel like the Lusa, I feel like never really changed. Like she was always, and Lusa grew up in a zoo, so she before she broke out and went to the wild. For that's a whole other plot that I'm not gonna get into in this video, but so she's also very naive about how the wild works because she wasn't just in a zoo. She was born and raised in the zoo. She doesn't know what the wild is like, and she kind of got herself in a situation because she just didn't expect the wild to be as hard as it was. Like in the zoo, everybody took care of her, but in the wild, she kind of had to learn to take care of herself, which made her naive and could get herself or others killed because she just didn't understand the way the world actually worked. It's kind of like a person who's been sheltered their entire life and then goes out into the real world and just doesn't understand a thing. That's pretty much Lucy's character. And even though she becomes less naive as the story goes, I feel like she doesn't she's still very soft and kind and maybe even a bit of a pushover at times. But Udrak, even though he started out a little bit like that, I feel like he grew more as a character, which is maybe why he's my second favorite because I feel like him and Kalik are the ones that really grew the most. Don't get me wrong, I still love Toko and Lusa. Like I absolutely love them. I love all four of them individually and together. But I feel like Udrak became stronger and stuff to the point where I shouldn't say this. Oh, I already kind of mentioned that Ujak dies the night earlier in the video. Well, he ends up sacrificing himself to save everybody else. So he definitely grew. I think he even grew more than Khalik, if you ask me. But anyways, I am ranting again. It's been a while since I made these videos and got to talk about these books that I love. So I'm a little ranty today. And Secrets is one of my favorites, and I don't get to talk about it with anybody because I literally do not know a person who has read them and liked them. And it's such a tragedy because I never get to talk about one of my favorite series ever. So I'm a little deprived. But anyways, I just love their friend group. How the four of them are together. Khalik and Tokalo are definitely the protectors of Lusa and Yijak. Um, and how they all look out for each other and protect one another. Like I love in sixth book, I think, yeah, sixth book, when they are kind of go to this gathering where there's a whole bunch of bears and it's this whole celebration sort of thing. But bears, even though all these different types of bears come together, they still stay in their own territories because they don't like each other. But I love how the four of them just did not care and was still, even though they went to their own territories at first, when things happened, they came to each other, which other bears did not like because they're like, and every time they came across another bear, they're like, why are you hanging out with these other bears? Like, you should be with your own kind. And um, but the four of them just did not care. Like they're like, we are a family, so we are gonna stick together. And they did have to split up, sadly, because they had to go to their own territories because they are different and they can't survive in each other's territories too long, especially where Khalik is concerned, because Khalik is a polar bear, which is a whole other level than being a brown bear or a black bear. But even brown bears and black bears are different because even though they both are in the forest type of places, black bears are more where trees are and brown bears are more where there's more open ground. So yeah. So they did have to split up sadly, but they still would visit each other and because they still had the gathering every year where they would meet up and hang out and be able to see each other because there is a time jump at the end of the last book, the 12th book, when they got to meet each other's kids. I cannot speak today. I'm ranting way too much. This video is gonna be longer than I thought it would be. Oh well, I don't care. I'm having fun talking about books I love. But anyways, I'm gonna move on before I keep talking about it because I very might talk about Secrets all day if I could. Um, what book? That was number 4, right? Yeah. Number 5 is the colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall colored spines. So, I have never been great with this question. Like, the whole aesthetic thing of bookshelves I was never great at. I have different systems and stuff, but I did find one book with that the cover and spine and stuff just give me fall feelings. And it's this one. It's one of the warrior books, A Vision of Shadows, The Apprentice's Quest. And it just feels very fall like. Maybe it's because of like the sun and the orange and reddish coloring that it has. But yeah, so I went with that. Question 6. Fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody is telling a story. So this one was really hard because I was like, I don't think I own it or read any books that had someone really telling a story. But then I realized it's kind of what Percy Jackson is it not? Like, um, I don't remember if somebody's telling a story in the Heroes of Olympus series, which is the one I grabbed because it's the first Percy Jackson book I saw. But in the original Percy Jackson series, Percy's telling the story of what happened during these 5 books. And then Trials of Apollo, which I'm currently reading, I'm on the last book now. Apollo's doing the same thing. And um, this one is a bit different because it's in multiple people's POVs. Um, but yeah, so I counted it. um, Question 7. The nights are getting darker. Share a dark, creepy read. So I read. So for this one, uh, I had two in mind. One I haven't read and one I am currently reading, but I'm not very far into it. Um, Final Girls, which I didn't bring with me. It's still with my other books, in a different room. But because it's horror, I haven't read it yet, but I plan to eventually. And it's basically about someone going after final girls who have been in these horror scenarios. Someone wants to kill off these final girls. Like, how dare you survive? I'm gonna kill you now. So, yeah. The other one is murder mystery, so maybe not as dark and creepy as the other one probably is, But and as you guys might know, I love a lot of genres in TV. Even though fantasy is still my favorite, I still branch out more and watch almost anything. I say almost because I still don't do romance or anything. But with books, I 98% read fantasy. Seekers, that's actually my favorite author, even though they don't write fantasy. I just love the way they write and stuff. Um, though Seekers does have a fantasy element with Jack being a shapeshifter, but that's the only thing. But there are a couple books I really want to read that are outside of fantasy. Final Girls, because I do love horror movies. I just have never really read much horror books. There's just one series that horror books that I absolutely love that I read this year. But anyways, and then mystery. I love a good mystery show. Pretty Little Liars is probably one of my favorite TV shows, but I don't really read mystery books. I never was drawn to it because fantasy has always been my thing, especially in books. Uh, but this I'm buddy reading this book right now with Tiffany from the book Skeptic, and it definitely seems good. I know it's supposed to be 3 books, but I only own book 1, so I hope I can find the other 2 on Libby. Um, but yeah, basically, um, 5 years ago, this popular senior was murdered by her boyfriend, and then he hung himself. And now Pip is a senior, and she has to do this senior project. Um, and I don't know what the project's for, like what's the details of the project, but she chooses to do it on this m murder because even though it's technically solved, she always felt like there was. I'm only on chapter 1. I really haven't really read much yet, but she always felt like this m murder wasn't like she always felt like there was something off about it. So she decides to look into it and stuff for her project, and then she starts getting letters and stuff from someone who doesn't want her to dig deeper. She starts to realize that she might be onto something, and maybe this girl wasn't actually murdered by her boyfriend, which means that if that's true, then he probably didn't hang himself either. Somebody probably just staged it to look like a suicide. And then the cops were like, "Well, that case closed because and didn't actually do an autopsy to look any deeper." That can happen. Um, there was an episode of Scream, the TV series, where um, uh, the killer made this one death look like a suicide, like a hanging from a girl who has history of cutting herself and being depressed and stuff. So they didn't originally didn't look deeper until the daughter of the coroner, who's the main character, um, she was very upset 'cause she kind of blamed herself and stuff, so she decided to look deeper just to see if there was another explanation so that her daughter didn't feel guilty because that's a whole other story. And you were able to tell from like a certain angle or whenever she did more studies and stuff that the neck was broken, so like someone who was flown off a building or something. So they were able to prove that it wasn't suicide and she was indeed murdered. So it's just a theory, but that's probably something that's gonna happen here, because why else would he kill himself if he didn't do it, right? So just a theory, but I guess I'll find out soon enough since I started reading it. I'm very ranty today. Don't mind me. Um, 8 the days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. So I chose Squeak by D.A. Power. Um, Another book that's very outside of my comfort zone, even more than horror and mystery, because I do like those genres. Um, this is, I guess I would consider it contemporary. Um, I know there's supposed to be fantasy elements in later books of the series. Because I think there's supposed to be like a ghost in book 2 and stuff like that. But basically, it's about Celeste who has this power to talk to this mouse, and the two of them becomes friends. These are her friends, and there's like these school bullies and stuff. She just moved to this place to go to this new school with her because her mom just married her this guy who is a teacher at the school, so her entire life was disrupted, and then she finds out she can talk to this mouse, and she used to be very shy, but after talking to this mouse and making these four amazing friends, that she becomes um, more confident and stuff, which is amazing to see her growth throughout this book. It's very heartwarming and sweet. My favorite scene is still near the end when they gave the bullies a piece of their medicine. Like that scene is iconic. I absolutely love that scene. Like that scene had me laughing. Uh, but I definitely highly recommend this book. I'm not entirely sure when book two is supposed to come out. To be honest, I don't even know if the author knows. But I actually have this book signed. It's the only book I think I have signed. So, yay, that's nice. Um, but yeah, so I definitely recommend this because it's very sweet and heartwarming and funny, and I am very intrigued for this book too, and we'll be checking that out once it's out and once I am able to, cause life. Okay, what else? Question 10? No. Question 9. Fall. Luckily, it's my favorite season, returns every year. Name an old favorite that you'd like to return to soon. So, I was originally not going to do any like repeats, like only do one book per question, but I'm going to kind of do a repeat. I actually am rereading Harry Potter at the moment. I'm only on Sorcerer's Stone. Actually, I did get kind of far. I think I'm halfway-ish, maybe a tiny bit over halfway done with the first book. Um, and the other book I want to reread is Seekers, because like I said, I absolutely love it. I can devour it. My only problem is now I only own the first book, even though I used to own all 12, because sadly, most of them did not survive the fire. The only reason why this one did is because it was in a different section, and I don't even remember why it was in a different section than the rest of the books, because I usually keep my series together, obviously. For some reason it was, and the area where the other secret books were did not survive the fire, so I lost all the other books, and I'm sad because I want to reread this series, but now I don't own them. And I can't buy them at the moment. And I also want to buy books I haven't read before. So it's a dilemma. Do I buy these books or do I buy other books? It is a dilemma, I tell you. Plus, there's other books that got ruined in the fire that I really want to buy eventually. Um, but I want to see if they're on Libby so I can reread them. Because I do really, really, really want to reread them because, like I said, I'm obsessed with these books and I want to reread them. So definitely check these book out, people. I mean, I love the writing. I love how creative the author is. When it comes to because the author writes about animals and the author writes really gets into her characters, like bears don't call humans humans because bears speak a different language. They speak in bear language, so like how would bears know what we are called, you know? And they call us flat faces because we compared to them we have flat faces, and like they call roads black paths because how would they know that we call them roads, right? And it's just very creative, and like I said, the characters amazing, the friendship group amazing, the storyline and action and fight scenes and the journey, the adventure, all 10 out of 10. Highly recommended. Please check it out so I can talk to somebody about one of my favorite series of all time that's just criminally underrated. Like, it just deserves so much more love and hype than it gets. So please check it out. There are 12 books, and if anyone wants to know the order of the books, I can give you the order of the books. Anyways, moving on. Um, 10. This is the last one. Fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. I don't really have cozy reading accessories. Like what? I guess I usually read in my bed, or we have a couch on the porch, which my mom and I were reading it earlier. Plus, my mom is moving some things around tomorrow, I think, so she's gonna turn our living room kind of like a reading area. So that's gonna be my new place. I usually have this pillow with me, and then I usually like to be covered up, cause unless I'm hot for whatever reason, I feel I just like to be covered up. But I would rather use my dolphin cover for that, honestly. But it's over there and I can't reach it. But it's a dolphin cover. Um, I don't it used to be my mom's, and before that it was her sister's. She kind of stole it from her sister, and then I kind of stole it from her. It's kind of a running joke. But yeah. So I'll probably use that, and I actually might not use this pillow. I might keep it in my room and use, because I have a couple throw pillows. They're not in here. They're in the living room that my sister gave me about, I want to say 2 years ago. Um, and they have like, one is like a Ouija board, which is really cool, like the picture of a Ouija board, and then the other one says "Welcome, foolish mortals," and I might use those um, for the reading area. But yeah, so that is the Finally Fall book tag. I know it's a little bit late, but I'm finally hyped for videos, so hopefully I'm back. Though if I do get a job that I interviewed for, I may take another break because that job might be a bit demanding, but we shall see. Anyways, I'm back for now, so thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment if you've read any of these, or if you want to read any of these. I definitely highly recommend, and let me know what your answers would be down below, and I will talk to you guys next time.